What? Ta-da! There are the answers. Shut up, you guys. Oh, you're so... I'm not wrong. Don't worry, Ash. I do it to everybody who says that. All right. There are the first three. Check your work. They're highlighted in yellow. There's the next two. The answers are highlighted in yellow, and the I guess I didn't do non-permissible values in the second one, but there's the answer. Yeah? No questions? There's the third one. And there, of course, is the fourth one, which you, of course, cross-multiplied, got to this mess, which doesn't factor. So you go to the quadratic formula, and you get 15 plus or minus 15 root 5 as your roots. But of course, why do you throw out the negative one? You can't have a negative length. So the answer is 15 plus 15 root 5, which is approximately 45. The exact answer, highlighted in blue, and the approximate answer highlighted in yellow, which is a word that ends in W. Screw you, grade 10. All right? Are we good to go? All right, now listen, ladies and gentlemen. Just stop for a moment. Let's have a deep cleansing breath. I'm not joking. Because what we're about to do requires you to bring literally all of your math to school. Okay? All of it. And you're going to bring some physics. And yes, I know. This is a crazy thing we're about to do. So everybody take that deep cleansing breath. And let's do this thing. Turn to page 179. Word problems. Everybody's favorite. I will call your attention back to the 10th grade. Do not bother writing down what I'm about to write down. I just want to remind you of how easy this is to do. Okay? All right. 30 students come see a movie. Okay? Anybody who is 16 or older pays $5 to see the movie. Anybody who is under 16 pays $3 to see the movie. Everybody with me? I collected... Did I say $3 to pay the movie? Yeah. I collected $126 in admission. What were the ages of the kids that came and saw the movie? Everybody with me? Okay. So, how would you solve that? I need to write it out. But kids under 16 paid $3. Kids over 16 paid $5. 16 and over paid $5. I collected, what did I say, 126. 126 equals 5x plus 3y, right? But since I have two equations, or two variables, I need x plus y equals 30. And then we do a system, right? And you just did that listening to me in your head without writing it down, yeah? So, y, no, don't worry about it, Preston. This is just for an example. Please work with me here. Why were you able to get to here? What math did you bring to the party? Well, we haven't done any algebra yet. What did you have to do to get to here? Because I don't see anything here about over 16, under 16, $5, $6. Like, I see none of that. Why were you able to get to here? What did you do? You had to make some decisions. What decisions did you make? Jasleen, give me one. An unknown amount of people paid $5, and another unknown amount of people paid $3. Unknown amounts meant... Right. So what you did was you took words, you turned them into variables, so you could do algebra, so you could find the answer. Right? Now, if something works once in math, how often does it work? Always. So if I'm going to do a rational problem, I must require a few things. What do I require? You guys just solved the word problem without writing it down. What did you have to do? There you go. One. You had to decide what was unknown. Then what did you have to do with that once you'd made that decision? Not yet. Plug in values to what? Plug in values to what, though? We don't have an equation yet. We've only decided what's unknown. What do we have to do next? Yeah, you're going to have to make that decision. Okay. Well, the next thing I personally would do would be to set my variables. And now, Preston, what's the third thing? Right. Find your amount that it equals to. What's the mathy sounding way of saying that? What do we need? An equation. Right? An equation. Or maybe I need a couple of equations, like we did up here. And last, solve the equation. And this is where it gets really tricky, because this is the one none of you ever do. So I'm going to write it really big. Not even check. Answer the question. And let me give you an example of what I mean. When you solved this equation, you got answers. But one of those answers does not answer any question, does it? Because it can't exist. Right? So you have to remember to answer the question. Is everybody cool? All right. Now, most of these word problems, if they have anything to do with mixtures, have two ways of solving them. So I'm going to, of course, do both ways. All right? First thing I'm going to ask you is this. You're going to read that question. Read the question. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. Go ahead. That should be long enough to read 2 sentences. Now, say the first number that pops into your head when I ask this question. How long will it take them to do this job together? Right. Everybody says 7 hours. How can that be? I am going to paint this room in 4 hours. You come along and help me. If it would only take me 4, how could it possibly take 7 if you help me? But even if I ignore you, I will be done in 4 hours. It has to be 3 or less hours, doesn't it, Priya? Why? Because Bob could do the job by himself in 3 hours, right? So right away I know I am not going to take the full amount of time for either person, yes? What math expression do we use to express not whole amounts? No. Fractions. Right. Sal, you're on fire today. All right. So, and here's another hint. It's called rational problems, right? What are we going to need? Rational numbers. And rational numbers generally are fractions. Okay, so here we go. We got 2 ways we can do this. One, we can look at it this way. We could say that it takes Tim 4 hours to paint the room, yes? So Tim will take 4 units of time, yeah? Right? And how many rooms will he paint? 1 room. Agreed? Okay. Oh, sorry. That's Tim. What will Bob be? Bob would be 3T to paint 1 room, yes? Everyone agrees? Okay, so what then is the amount of time Tim needs right now? What would you do with that equation? It's grade 9 algebra. Forget the question, forget everything. That is shown to you. What would you do with that? Right. You would tell me T equaled 1/4, yes? Right? And what would you tell me here? T equaled 1/3, yeah? Everyone agrees? Okay. Everyone's good, yeah? Alrighty. Now, logically, what is happening here? Forget numbers. What is happening in this question? What? Yeah, who's painting a room? Bob and Tim, agreed? Okay, so Tim and Bob and Bob are painting a room, yes? Everyone agrees? Turn that into math. What math is that? Plus. Excellent. Are painting a room. Are painting. What math symbol do we put there? Equals a room. 1. Right? What don't we know? Time, yeah? But we know that Tim will paint at a 1/4 of the time he needs, yes? And what will Bob paint at? 1/3 of the time he needs, yes? Do I now have a rational equation? Can I now solve it? What's 1 times T over 4? T over 4 plus, what's this one? T over 3. some fraction of the room is painted by Tim, some fraction of the room is painted by Bob, and what will that eventually equal when they are done painting? One painted room. How do I solve that? What's the common denominator? 12. So what do I multiply this guy by? What do I multiply this guy by? What do I multiply this guy by? So 3t plus 4t equals 12. 7t equals 12. T equals 12 sevenths, which is 1 5/7 of an hour. Who cares? Right? Everybody good? That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is if we think about it as a rate. Now, a rate means what? How many values do you need to get a rate? 2, right? What are some examples of rates? Pardon me? Kilometers per hour, yes? Dollars per gallon? All right, yeah, you're buying gas. Okay, yeah. Most people say miles per gallon, which is, I had to think about it for a second. Yeah. Okay, so a rate, we all know what a rate is, yes? And if we put a rate on a graph, we get a slope, yeah? Right, so it's dependent variable over independent variable, yes? Okay, so what are the two things being counted here? Time and rooms painted, agreed? Right? So what would the rate be in this case? Since it's dV over IV, what in this case is the dV? The room or the time? Room. Excellent. So it would be rooms divided by time. Agreed? Yeah? Okay. So, how can we take this and do math with it? What would Tim's rate be? One room in 4 hours. What is Bob's rate? One room in 3 hours, yes? Right? Everyone agrees? Everyone agrees? Okay. And what is the rate of them together? How many rooms are being painted? One room over what? Why is it X? Because we don't know the rate for the room, do we? But we know that Tim plus Bob will equal together, won't it? So 1/4 plus 1/3 equals 1t. Agreed? How do I solve that? We already know the answer, but how do I solve it when we do it this way? What's our common denominator? 12. So this would be what? 3 plus 4 over 12 equals 1 over t, yes? Is that fraction equals fraction? So what do? Cross multiply. 7t equals 12. What does t equal? 12 sevenths. Is everybody cool? Do I care which way you do this? You're either splitting up Bob and Tim's time to equal one total, or you're figuring out adding up their rates to the rate of their togetherness. Is everybody good? Yeah? All right, well, let's look at the second one, and we're going to slice it in two again. Logically, what must our answer be? Before we do any work, we should know if we've done the work right. What does our answer have to be to number 2? Less than 40 minutes. Excellently done. Okay. And are they pretty close to the same rate? So it should be pretty close to what? To 20. It should be pretty darn close to half of 40, right? So let's choose. We'll do both methods. In the first method, what fraction of the paper route does James complete? In 1 minute. 1/40th, right? So James is going to be t over 40. Because a certain amount of time divided by 40, yes? Oh, that's a pain. Fine. Black and red. What's Jeff's time? T over 50, right? And how many paper routes are they going to do? 1. So it's t over 40 plus t over 50 equals what? 1. How do I solve that? What's the common denominator? Somebody heard it. Somebody just said it. I heard it. 200, right? So what do I need here? Times what? 5. It's only 200. What do I need here? Pardon? 4. So what is this? 5t plus 4t equals what? No. I need a common denominator. I've got it. I got to multiply that by 200. So 9t equals what? 200. So what does t equal? 200 over 9. Do that with your calculator and 22.2 minutes. Is that pretty close to our estimate? So are we happy? Excellent. Now let's do the rate version of the same question. What's the rate? Jose.
So if Jeff did the same route for like in 2 hours, I would just run it 2 minutes.
Of course, that's the question I'm going to ask at the end of this. Don't do that to me. But you're absolutely right. They have to be at the same units. Good call. So, what is the rate here? What are the two things being counted? What is the independent variable? What? Right. So we're going to be over time. And what? Yeah, the paper route. Right? So what is James? He is 1 route in how many minutes? 40. And what is Jeff? 1 route in 50, right? And when we add them together, that equals total, and that is 1 route in t, because I don't know how long it's going to take them to work together. So now write the equation. 1/40 plus 1/50 equals 1 over t. Then I do the same math, right? Right? 5 over 40 plus 5 over 200 plus 4 over 200 equals what? What's going here? 9 over 200? 1 over t, because I don't know t. Now I've got 9 200ths equals 1t, yes? Does that fraction equal fraction? So what do? Cross multiply, 9t equals 200, and I get the same answer. Is everybody good? So you can always either do the mix or the rate. Turn the page over, read the question, and tell me how it's different. Because you did honors.
Preston was like, oh yeah, I tried all these questions. I remember all of the
Okay.
And then Fraser.
So we got two choices. What are they? We can do them both ways, right? So, the first way is the proportion completed, right? Okay, so what's Kyra? She's going to be T over 40, right? That's Kyra. Right? What's the boyfriend? Ooh, we've got intrigue here, don't we? What is the boyfriend? What's the boyfriend? T? T over X? That's what you're happy with? No. We're gonna build up to it. Are you happy with that? Because we don't know how long the boyfriend's gonna take, right? And we don't know what portion the boyfriend does, do we? And what's the together? T over 24? Look back at your previous work. It's supposed to equal 1, wasn't it? Right? So what has to be there? What's going here? What went here in the previous questions? 1, because they did one whole lawn, yes? Right? Okay. Now, it looks like I have two unknowns here, don't I? What does it look like my two unknowns are? Because I had T over 40 plus T over X equals 1. It looks like I have two unknowns. But do I? Why not? What's T? 24, because that's how long they took to work together. So, what goes here? 24 over 40 plus 24 over X equals, and then I solve it. What's my common denominator? 40x. What does this guy need? 24x. What does this guy need? Plus 24 times 40. Get your calculators out. It's going to be 960. Equals. What does this guy need? 40x. Is everything over a common denominator? Do we care about the common denominator anymore? Nope. How do I solve that? No. 24x and 960? What do I do? Isolate x. So what should move? Right. 960 equals 16x. What does x equal? 60. How long is it going to take him to do it by himself? 60. Everybody cool? Lazy sack. Right? Kyra's getting the job done. But Billy Bob over there, he was under protest? Okay, so how can I do that with a rate? How can I do it with a rate? What's Kyra's rate? What's Kyra's rate? So 1 lawn in 40 minutes. What's Billy Bob's rate? 1 lawn in... No, we know it's 60 because we did it, but what if we hadn't done it? McKenna, it's 60, idiot. 1 over T or X or whatever equals, what's the rate of them working together? 1 lawn in 24. And then we would just do the same thing, right? What's common denominator? 40T? 960t, right? So what does this need? The 24t, right? 24t plus what does this guy need? Huh? He's got the t. He needs the what? 960 equals, what's this guy need? 40t. Is it all over common denominator? Is it the same as this now? So we would just solve it. We would still get 60 equals t. Is everybody good? Anytime you're mixing anything, that's how you do it. Okay? Okay. Here's this question. Read the question. So, what do we know about Jamie's trip? What do we know about it? Tell me some stuff we know. We know a distance. What is the distance? Really? 48, right? So we've got a distance, and we've got a distance there, and we've got a distance back. What is this distance there? What is this distance back? What else do we have? We have a speed. Do we know Jamie's speed? Read the question. Do we know how fast Jamie is paddling? No, we do not. So what do we give it? I'm going to give it X because S looks like a 5 for me sometimes. And he paddles back at an X. But he's in a river. So what's happening? Current. Does it help him in one direction? Does it help him in the other direction? So what does it do in one direction? Adds 2 to his speed. What does it do in the other direction? Takes 2 away. I want to know, and I know the time. What's the time? 9 hours. But do we know how long it took him to get there? No. Do we know how long it took him to get back? No. But do we know how long it took him to do it together? What? 9. So I need to know this time and this time, don't I? What does time equal? Distance over speed. Do I have a distance? What is it? 24. Do I have a speed? What is it? Do I have a distance? What is it? Do I have a speed? Is that a rational equation with which I can work? Let us work it. What is the common denominator? X plus 2, x minus 2, yes? What does this guy need? X minus 2. So what's getting written right here? Well, I just expand it. Plus, what's getting written here? Plus 48 equals tricky. What's this guy need? Well, I would do it as x squared minus 4, yeah? So what's this side going to be? 9x squared minus 36. Is everything over a common denominator? Do I care about the common denominator? Heck no. So what do I do now? Now I'm doing grade 9 algebra, aren't I? What do? Collect like terms. What's 24 plus 24? 48x. What's negative 48 plus 48? 0 equals 9x squared minus 36. Now what? Put it to general form. 9x squared minus 48x minus 36. Now what? Check if it factors. What's coming out of there? Not that. What's coming out of there? 3 is coming out of there. When I take that 3 out, do I care about it? No. So we'll take that 3 out, and we will get 3x squared minus 16x minus 12. What am I going to do with that? Hey, Mr. Adnai. Top drawer. I got my best class. No, they're not my best class, YouTube. They're a pain, just like all classes are. It is not my favorite class. What do I do with that?
All my classes are my favorite.
Exactly. All of our classes are equally our favorites.
As soon as we call a favorite, we're in trouble.
Absolutely. What do I do with that?
I'm taking a break from one of my favorite classes right now.
That happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hide under my table. Because sometimes my grade 11s can't do 7 times 1.
Well, that's what you need a calculator for.
Absolutely.
You do everything on your calculator. You don't do any math.
So factor it.
It's 36, so it would be 18. Am I wrong?
Well, 36 is right. I need facts of 36 that add to what? So what are they? It is 18 and 2. Yeah. So it's going to be x plus 2 over 3 and x minus 18 over what? 3. What's that become? 6. So now I have this, don't I? Equals 0. What are my options? What does x equal? Negative 2/3 or 6. Are both of those answers possible? You don't need to find out. Can he have a negative speed of paddling? No, because even if he doesn't paddle, can he have a negative speed? No, so what's the answer? You can have a negative velocity. You cannot have a negative speed. I'm not wrong. All right. So now you should be able to do this one, right? Go. What do I know? Oh, free gummy bear for someone who finds my typo in that.
There's a capital missing at the at. After that 8.5 hours.
No.
Oh, A?
It should be capitalized.
The A should for at,
Okay, there's two typos then. So I made another typo. No, that they've already found that one. The A should be capitalized. What? No, that's 8.5. 81 half hours. Yeah, it was 40.5 hours. No, you won't find it. It's right there. That should be McWhirly Pedals apostrophe. Because he's plural. Yes, you do. All right, so anyways, what do we know about McWhirly pedals? What's happening in this race? It's a bike race, and that bike race, something has happened to it. It has been split into what? 2, because in the first half something happened, and in the second half something happened. Do I know the distance? Okay. So what's the first distance I know? 70. And what's the second half? Certain other classes had a lot of trouble figuring that out. Do I know McWhirly Pedal's speed? Do I? I'm going to make this chart smaller. I want room to work. Do I know McWhirly Pedal's speed? Do I know his speed? No, so what do I give it? In the first half, what is it? X. What is it in the second half? No. It's slowed Speedy's return by 6, so it's X. Do I know the time? No. I know it equals 8.5 hours. What is his time in the first half? 70 over X plus... It's not X. What's his speed in the second half? We made the chart. X minus 6 equals what? 8.5 hours. 8.5. Now, do I have my work? Right? What's my common denominator? X minus 6, or I could put it together as x squared minus 6x, yes? So, it's x and x minus 6, right? So I know it's x and x minus 6. What does this guy need? So what do I write? 70x right, because 7 times 6 is 42, and then you add a 0, plus, what does this guy need? So what's that? Equals x squared minus 6x, so it's 8.5x squared minus 8 times 6 is 48, 0.5 times 6 is 3, minus 51x. Is it over a common denominator? Do I care about the bottom? So what do I do with that now? Collect it all up. 8.5x squared minus 191x plus 420. Right? Equals what? What do I need? Roots. How do I find roots? Quadratic formula, or if you're good friends with your graphing calculator, graph that and find the zeros, yes? So which do you want to do? Quadratic formula? Okay. Negative b, so 191 plus or minus the root of that number squared, barf, 191 squared, minus 4 times 8.5 times 420 over 2 times 8.5, which is 17. When you do that, you're going to get two numbers, aren't you? Right? Finish that, do those next three. That's your homework.